Go for
Are
it,
you
Marco.
sure?
Introduce it. Well, we're live.
Well,
I'm just
no, I
waiting for
mean,
it
I
to
don't
actually
want to
catch up.
introduce it. We just have to let people catch up for a second, right?
Yeah, we can.
I mean, you could always throw up one of those 30-second little timer things. Give us a
I
minute
just
to
got a thing
share.
that said we're live on My Fandom TV,
But, you know,
and there we go. Share into.
but, you know,
The
it
bunker.
has a little 30-minute countdown thing,
Mm-hmm.
30-second countdown thing. You could always throw that up while we're sharing links.
Yeah, that's all right. Let them get a little behind the scenes action, behind the scenes footage. Yeah, show them how it really works,
Or doesn't work.
or it doesn't work.
Or semi-works.
There we go. There's John. What's up, John?
Yeah, been waiting.
John and
What's
Paul.
up, Paul? How you doing, man?
Buddy.
Good to see you. What's up, Kyle? Letting everybody kind of filter in before we get started.
So
Just been watching Little. What? What is that? Little Brighton?
Is that okay?
I don't know what that is. Is that like a UK specific show? We got Jeff. We've got Amanda. We've got Ryan, Days of Thunder, Merriman.
And we got Chris.
Look
at everybody coming in here.
Everybody coming in. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I'm feeling happy.
Oh, look at this. And then we got this guy. About time. I've been listening to my Colorado Rockies get their butts beat for the last hour. At least you don't have to see it. Let's see. Karen. What's up, Karen? What's up, Mark? Okay, Little Britain. Oh, it's Little Britain is a hilarious comedy UK show. You would all love it. If it's full of British humor, I don't know. I have a new favorite. Have you guys ever seen? His name's Nigel, but he does a character called Uncle Roger on YouTube, and he doesn't like British people.
The Asian guy.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, the Asian guy.
Yeah.
Uncle Roger. And he doesn't like people like Jamie Oliver who think they know how to make Asian food.
Yeah, he challenged was it he was with he did a review of Gordon Ramsay doing fried rice in like Cambodia or something. And he like agreed. He's
Yeah,
like, okay,
and Gordon did
that's
actually a really good job.
Yeah. No, I mean that guy's
that was a great video. Yeah. Oh, here, wait, hang on. Look at these comments. There it is. Gotta love the men in beards.
Nice. I see somebody pulled one of my gray beards in the crazy packs.
Somebody pulled a Marco beard here. You guys throw out ideas and you think Marco won't do it, but he's crazy.
He got the 1 of 10 gray variant.
1 of 10. Hell yeah, there it is. Oh, yo.
All right. I will stop the podcast if you start doing Uncle Rice or whatever.
Uncle Rice?
Uncle Roger impressions, okay?
Okay, so we got a comment about Nick's Pops. So, Nick, we'll go with it. What's your favorite one you got behind you?
Oh, probably my autographed Frank Welker Scooby-Doo Pop.
That's a good one.
Who's Frank Welker?
The original voice of Fred from the original Scooby-Doo TV show.
Ah, okay.
And he's been the voice of Scooby since 2002.
And that's when what's his name took over, right?
Yep. Yeah, Frank Welker took over Scooby.
The other guy, Shaggy, that's what's his name?
Matthew Lillard, I think, is doing Shaggy now for most of the stuff.
Yeah, this is like
he got
voices,
screwed over
right?
for that newest one, right?
Yep.
So Frank also did like voices from he was Optimus in Transformers, right? or was he?
Megatron or
Yeah,
Megatron. Yep.
Megatron.
I
Yeah.
probably have some autographs of his laying around somewhere.
I bet you
I've
probably
got-
have
I've got-
some.
Yeah, but I don't really know a lot of the voice actors by name. I do know. Too bad you just started doing voice acting, because I used to know really good friends with. Well, I wouldn't say good friends. It was a good contact with Marsha Hurwitz, who ran the Innovative Artists, who have a whole voice acting studio out in Santa Monica.
Awesome.
She's married to Tim Curry currently.
Yeah.
He's like Tim Curry's significant other, because they actually never got married. But I think they've
Apparently-
been together for like ever.
Eh.
But
Apparently,
she
Jeff
helped-
Dunham is coming out of the hot sauce. Thanks, Mike. This is so random. I don't know what that was. So anyway, we have our local to the bunker, Nick. Nick is. How many gigs are you up to now?
I had about 12 more auditions that I filmed for today.
Wow.
I don't know yet. Right now, I'm still sitting at about 8 or 9 that I'm currently working on.
So, can you tell us about any of the ones that you've done?
Right now, one of the ones that I've been filming with a friend of mine down in Milwaukee, we're trying to pitch to some studios. It's basically about a group of friends heading to Disney World for a day, and all of us are basically doing back and forth between different Disney characters or just other characters that we think would work well with those Disney characters. And if everything goes well, we're going to try and pitch it to those studios and see if it'll get brought up.
That would be some crazy stuff. I heard a story the other day about Roger Rabbit, and how when they filmed it, because they have both Disney and Warner Brothers in the movie characters, that they actually had to. The reason they paired up a lot of the Warner Brothers and Disney characters is it was in the contract that they had to share equal amount of time on screen. So Disney couldn't have more screen time than Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers couldn't have more screen time than Disney. And so they basically, anytime one of them was on the screen, the other had to be on the screen. And they did that by pairing off different groups and stuff like that. But they did end up getting them. So
That's awesome.
But
so how did you get into deciding that? So you're talking about. It sounded like you're talking about voice acting, the show being some kind of impressions of different characters. So do you do impressions? Is that how you kind of got into voice acting, or what's the story?
I got into voice acting because I've always been interested in animation. And growing up, I watched a lot of movies and TV shows. So I just always tried to mimic different characters and voices and try to figure out how I could not exactly get those voices, but try to get as close to it as possible while also making it my own, putting my own little spin on it. And then just going from there, taking classes. Like right now, I'm currently taking voice acting classes with Steve Bloom in his studio. So I've been doing those classes. So that's been lots of fun.
So I know our sound quality isn't the best on this show. But do you have any favorite go-to voices?
My favorite one always growing up
or otherwise
from Disney was probably Stitch. My favorite one was where he just comes out and just goes he just starts going that and doing different voices like that, and then Mickey Mouse just coming out and always talking to Pluto.
All right, well, give us 10 seconds of Stitch.
Ooh.
Okay. Mega Maga Krista! I'm cute and fluffy!
There you go.
That was awesome.
That
was great.
Thank you. And always just doing different voices. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a voice acting app he runs called Hit Record. It's like for anyone that like wants to get into voice acting or just recording anything. So I've done a lot of things on that, and I've been recommended by a lot of users on that app. He also does a lot of like photography and animation for creators on the app as well. So highly recommend anyone that wants to check that app out. It's pretty interesting.
So when you're talking about booking gigs and all that kind of stuff, what kind of stuff are you talking about? Like, are they like Fiverr gigs? Are they through studio gigs? Are they commercial gigs? Like, what are we talking about?
Most of the gigs that I've been auditioning for, at least right now, are just local to here, me in Wisconsin, just for like university projects or helping different like schools with different advertisements or projects like that. So I haven't been able to get into like major commercials or any gigs like that. That's what I'm going towards right now. So just taking more classes to help with that and learn how to go about it so I can start getting demos put out with someone in one of the actual production studios.
Now, do you only take voice acting classes, or do you take straight up acting classes as well?
I've actually taken many acting classes, especially improv. And when I went to college in Atlanta, I also took a lot of musical theater classes because I have a musical theater background as well.
Nice. Shout out to Atlanta and Dragon Con. Did you ever go to
Been there
Dragon Con?
several times.
Yeah. There's nothing like it. You can't explain it to anybody. It's like San Diego Comic-Con, but without all the commercial stuff, right?
Exactly.
And you can't be super careful walking the hallways because there's just nothing but alcohol bottles on both sides.
That's a very true statement.
Literally, like every hallway, just on all sides of the hallway, all the way down, all the way back, just bottles outside.
So so you obviously went on the convention scene before. So did you go to? So I know, like, from going to conventions, they usually have the panels with the voice actors and how to be a voice actor. And did you like going to those and really soaking that in and the tips and stuff that they tend to provide during those? Like I've been to several of them. Even our local convention here in Little Southern Oregon had one with oh god, what's his name? Played Xemnas and Kingdom Hearts and Nine Tails and Naruto. But anyway, the class was, or the panel was phenomenal because like the amount of stuff that they talk about with voice acting and how much they can go into and the differences of where your microphone is, what part of your mouth you're talking with. I just thought it was always fascinating. So did you really enjoy that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I got a lot of my tips, is going to conventions and, like you said, soaking in those classes and jotting down as many tips as I could. I'd always have like a notepad and a pen with me just to jot any notes I could take and soak it all in.
Yeah.
So
like
at those conventions, oh, go ahead, Marco.
Oh, like I was saying, I think I told the story on here before, but in New York, I used to go to all of the DC panels for all of the animated movie releases at the Paley Center. And the voice acting, the director, producer, she always said, she cast more on acting ability than voice acting ability. She said she can get them to do the voices right, but she couldn't teach somebody who did voices to act. It was like, and so that was one of the biggest tips that she offered.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Because in my very first class, webinar I did with Steve Bloom, he talked about a lot of people don't understand that like voice acting, only 20% of it is actually doing the voices into the microphone. The other 80% is actually acting and portraying the character.
Well, especially when you don't have the time, the person that you're working off of is not there. Right. And so that's just a huge, you don't have somebody like with me. When I do podcasts that are not with Michael and it's just me trying to talk, I can't. Like I need somebody to talk to, right? Like I can't just do one of these shows without that. It's just me fumbling and sounding stupid. Speaking of Michael, Do you have another question?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, so from the convention scene, what was your favorite person to like really listen to and that you really felt inspired you and gave you a lot of really cool tips? Did you have one that you really enjoyed?
Steve Bloom is definitely up there. Tara Strachan is another one. Kevin Conroy. There's been so many. Michael Rosenbaum, he talked about voice acting one time. John Glover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tara and Kevin are incredible. And Tara is just she did like a charity signing on Instagram Live with Kevin probably almost a year ago now. And just watching her, Kevin kind of did Batman the whole time, but just watching her bounce from character to character to character, no matter depending on what she was signing, was just so fun to watch. And you can literally, that's one of the things I think that people don't get. And what you were talking about, like, I think some people think like voice actors sit on a chair like we're doing right now and talking to a microphone, but they physically change their whole like facial look, their whole body, like the way that they hold themselves for each character. So you get to watch her as she's literally acting out these characters. Her whole body would change every time. And it was just so fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Have you guys checked out the Resident Evil with Alan Tudyk?
Which one's that one?
Not yet.
Resident Alien, sorry, not Resident Evil.
Oh, Resident Alien. I was like, Resident.
I'm tired. But yeah,
I didn't know Alan did Resident Evil.
But have you guys seen that at all?
I have not yet. I've seen the trailers for it and some promos and trailers, but I haven't had the chance to watch it yet.
What about you, Michael?
I've seen parts of the first episode. I have it saved. I haven't finished. We've been watching, we caught up on Prodigal Son and different things like that, and then some Blood In, Blood Out movie that we watched.
We'll speak about that in a minute. But you can bring Kindle in too. No, during one of the later episodes, they go into like how life evolved from in the oceans with like squid, like a meteor hitting the ocean, and then it creating like squid life, and then that squid, squid ends up like in a sushi restaurant, right? Well, later he's getting high with a couple other people, and they're out eating sushi, and then he sees one of the squids and goes up and starts talking to it, and it starts talking back to him like telepathically, and it's voiced by Nathan Fillion.
Oh my God. No, it's not. It is.
Yeah. Nathan Fillion does a lot of voice work. He did, and so did Alan.
The two of them are just it's so funny because I was looking at a couple of I was looking at Alan's IMDb the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny to see him pop in for like an episode on every one of Nathan's things. And then you look at Nathan's, and Nathan has popped in for an episode on every one of Alan's things.
Well, the one person who played Nathan's the daughter from Castle, she popped in a couple episodes ago on The Rookie.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And I think the only one, the cast member that don't all work together is Adam Baldwin.
Oh, yeah, he's, true to his character, right?
But have you seen Con Men at all, Nicholas?
Yes.
What did you think about the scenes with Milo, him, and what's his name?
Could you relate?
Nolan. It was Nolan North, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I thought they were highly entertaining. Highly recommend.
That's one of the funniest scenes I think in all of TV ever, is that voice acting. Just that scene is just so funny. We're
gonna switch you to the voice of Miriam.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't sound very masculine.
So here we got a question for you from World Order Collectibles. They want to know, as a voice actor, are you allowed to go off script or line by line?
It all depends on what like the producer or director who you're working with wants. You can bounce ideas off each other, which is one of my favorite things. Most of the time, they want you to be as true to the script as possible. But if you feel like you could add different inflections or go higher and lower in pitch, they usually take it, because most of the time they want you to read a line and they want you to do it 3 different ways. And then between the 2 of you, or however many are working on the project, you have to pick which version sounds the best for the project you're working on.
Nice. If you could take over the voice of any character, who would it be?
Probably got to go with Stitch.
Does Stitch get a lot of work though? Man, I'd pick one that's like on every show every week.
I don't know. I know they're doing a new live action Lilo and Stitch, and a lot of people are like, hey, you should really try out for that Stitch part. I'm like, I just might.
There you go.
Should throw it out there.
All right. So, Michael,
Yes, sir.
You said you watched it.
I did.
Blood in, Blood Out by Honor. The Vatos Locos. What do you think?
Vatos Locos forever. So Kendall. So for everybody out there, first of all, as we catch up with Nick, have you seen Blood In, Blood Out?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Okay.
What'd you think
Yes.
of it?
There you go.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good.
Okay, so anybody in the chat want to say they seen Blood In? So Kendall didn't like the movie at all.
I asked her why. She never replied to me. She just kind of like
She wrote something like, "Dear Marco,
I'm
I
never
no
gonna
longer trust your opinions of movies. Sincerely, Kendall."
And then I asked, well, what? That's fine. I'm like, well, what you didn't like about it? And then no response. Just left.
I don't know. So I thought that the story itself was good. Obviously, the guy who plays the main character is a god awful actor. No offense to him at all, but
No, Miklos' character is the only one out of that's not like an
no,
Academy
the rest of the
Award-winning
actors are really good. But like there was like that scene. First of all, spoiler for anybody who's seen it or hasn't seen it. The whole thing about I shot your leg off, I was dying every time because I'm just picturing like the bullet hitting the knee perfectly and the bottom part of the leg just going pew. And so every time that they were like, I shot your leg off, and where it got me was that scene where he's in the hospital with his leg wrapped up, and he literally like so dramatically is like, huh, go away. I'm just like, oh my god, this guy, like,
that was the only thing that I never understood when watching the movie and stuff, like, because like I said, everything is perfect in there, right? Like the no-name people in that movie are like Billy Bob Thornton and Ving Rhames.
Yeah.
Right.
And
like,
Danny Trejo plays normal Danny Trejo.
Right. And like everybody, the acting and the roles, I mean, spot on. But then he just takes you out of the movie in a sense. So like I've watched it enough to where I can learn to like ignore him. Right.
Well,
like,
it blows my mind. Like, I'm sure that you know this, but for those, so I actually did some reading afterwards. That was supposed to be a 5.5 hour movie. And it was supposed to be 3 parts.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be part 1 was supposed to end where he gets his leg shot off. And then part 2 was supposed to be all the prison stuff. And then part 3, which you never actually see, is supposed to be what's the guy, Mayan? Is that his name? The main for the Launda?
Yeah.
The main guy for Launda that they end up betraying.
The metal.
His daughter is kind of supposed to grow up and I guess find out.
Well, there are like 3 sequels, but they're all like straight to video with the Miklo character.
Yeah, the Vatos Locos movie.
Yeah, like, but it doesn't have the director, like they doesn't have like the directors, the writers, like it's just like
he's got an eye patch for some reason.
Yeah, like it became like, you know how like we talked about like in horror movies where the first one is serious, right? Yeah. And then like the next ones are like go into comedy. Like I never even bothered watching any of the other movies. They, in my mind, they don't exist canon wise.
No, they don't. They don't even call themselves. The only thing that they say that they have in common is that this guy that they call, I think they call him in this one Michael instead of Miklo,
Yeah.
and because copyright probably issues,
Well,
and they say the name Vatos Locos, and that's it.
right. But the scenes, even without him, like, man, when the one little boy dies to heroin and the relationship between that, and then the most powerful scene that gets me every single time is when he's in his painting, right? And then the brother, when his cousin shows up, and he's sitting there painting, and then the one guy, gets up and does the John Wayne impression. On the couch.
Yeah.
And he gets up and he goes, I don't remember the exact John Wayne quote that he used, but he's like, but he comes in and they start yelling at him. He cuts out that piece of the painting.
He cuts off
the
the head.
Like, you can't, who gave me permission to use my nephew in that painting? He's like, what? And then they go off and he like cuts it out and hands it to him. He's like, take me to, just that whole scene, right?
Yeah.
And it's just those two together. And then at the end, when they're up on in the LA River, and they've got still that old painting of them as a kids, and they're just going back and forth like, whose fault is it, And then he's like, I'm a fighter, I'm a lover, not a fighter, And that whole sequence, that whole thing, man, it gets me every single time.
No, that part was great, and like I said, apparently, like the movie wasn't supposed to end there.
Yeah.
The movie originally was then supposed to transition to the main guy, the main leader of Loon. It was supposed to lead to his daughter.
Didn't Miklo take over?
He did, but then it was supposed to be that the person that Miklo betrayed, because Miklo is the one who got the leader killed. Right. It was supposed to be that his daughter, because he talks about that he's finally going to see his daughter, and then he dies, and so his daughter is supposed to like grow up and then find out and like come after Miklo, and that's how it's supposed to end, is like some big confrontation there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of the scenes with Miklo, like in prison and stuff, man, like when he goes after the cook dude, and I mean, his acting is bad in some parts, but in some other parts, it's actually not that bad.
His acting when he was trying to seduce the prisoners was his best acting, and interesting. like
I said, it's just some of the stuff in prison. But what I liked about the movie is just it's like you see three paths, right? Like three stories, three teenagers that are all together. They're living the time of their life, like in high school, right? And then each of them take a different path.
Yeah.
Right. And then you kind of see that path, and then it kind of comes back and it gets intertwined, and then it goes away from it. And then you kind of get to see like their lives play out like over 30 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's the same reason, like I'm rewatching The Wire with a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about The Wire is what I love about this is every character in that show and every character in that movie has a story and is a character. Right, they're not some generic, whatever character, almost except for Danny Trejo. But
Danny Trejo is
Danny Trejo just plays Danny Trejo, right? Like, but it's just everybody. I mean, to the T. I mean, even when you see like Billy Bob Thornton show up, right? He's not even the head of the neo-Nazi KKK guys, right? He's like the second.
One thought that I had, it's funny you bring it up because all of the cast was really good except for the main character, right?
Right.
The main character was like a struggle. You think about, people who know the story that Back to the Future wasn't originally Michael J. Fox. And as they're shooting it the first week or two, I think, they were like, this isn't working. And they went and got somebody else. So you think if this film had been like, look, this dude is not working, but they didn't pivot. They didn't,
right.
trust that, I guess. But you know what? At the same time, as you're filming it, I could understand like you have this very, very white guy who's supposed to be acting like he was, Hispanic.
Right.
So it'd be a tough thing to act anyway. Anyway, so that's what I thought. We got more questions for Nick, though.
Well, we never did get. We kind of talked over Nick's thoughts of the movie. It's probably been a long time since you've seen it, right?
I really enjoyed it. I thought Danny Trejo's character was always entertaining as usual. He just likes to be Danny Trejo. Overall, I thought the movie was very entertaining. I'd recommend it to anybody to at least give it a watch, see what they think.
Yeah, I mean that was way early in Danny Trejo's career too.
The best part about Danny Trejo is he probably in that movie has 3 lines, but just see him every time he's in a shot.
Well, he talks about,
and it's not because he's Danny Trejo.
well, he talks about the movie all the time, like it's his favorite movie and being in it, you know. And then like there was a conversation with him the other day because he was in Mi Familia with Edward James Olmos or whatever, where he talked about how he saved Edward James Olmos' life. Because he brokered like kind of like a hit, like to get a hit off of him. Because in the movie, Edward James Olmos plays a drug kingpin, right, from Mexico, like a real life one. And when they started filming, they asked Edward James Olmos, "So you got permission to play the character and do all this stuff?" He's like, "Yeah. I went down there, talked to the guy. He's cool, right?" Well, he plays the guy, but then he also does like a scene where he gets raped in prison. And the guy's like, "I never allowed that. I never got raped. I never got raped in prison. You know, like you're messing with my reputation or this and that, and I'm going to kill you." And like, he's got the cartel after him. And like Danny Trejo had to step in between like him and the cartel in order to not get him killed for like, you know, and that's why like, he says that movie was just, you know, trash in a sense, you know, even though it like won a bunch of awards and got a bunch of acclaim. He goes, it was nothing like Blood In, Blood Out, where the reality, like the story of Blood In, Blood Out, like the prison life, everything was the most realistic he said he's ever been a part of. But yeah.
And now he's making tacos.
Oh, I just got a board game, the Zombicide 2 with the Danny Trejo's expansion. So I got a little Danny Trejo's mini zombie figure, like in 3 different
That's worth it
levels.
to buy that.
And it's got like a fake signature of him on the front.
That's so funny.
All right. So if you could play a voice act, I'm guessing actor, of any horror character of your choice, who would you choose?
Oof.
Julia Roberts and who was that?
Absolutely. I don't know. I've always really been fascinated with the character of Hannibal Lecter. I think that one would be fascinating to play.
Yeah.
That would be a fun one.
I do. I do a great Jason Voorhees.
Or Michael. Michael Myers is a great. All right, so here's another one for you. What is your favorite voice acting job, and is it true in voice acting you may never meet your co-stars?
My favorite voice acting job is probably the one that I've been working on now, with some friends of mine in Milwaukee, doing the different Disney impressions and characters and just coming up with different ways we can do it. There's a few other jobs that I'm looking to get into if all goes well for some narrations. And then for never meeting your co-stars, I mean, it just depends on the production right now with the pandemic and everything. It's a little different because now most of the auditions are doing like Zoom auditions and everything online and virtually and that sort of thing. So a lot of times if you meet your co-stars, it's like we're doing now over a computer screen, but you can still bounce ideas off each other. But most of the time they try to get you all in studio at least once.
Well, do you have like a special mic setup or anything? I mean, are you using like what you're using now? I mean, it's going to be hard for them to really hear your voice, you know, through this.
I have different microphones. I have ones that I use for here at home, and then that I have my whole studio at a friend of mine's house in Milwaukee because I just don't have